Well, we're excited to get to game two. I think we're going to play a really good football team in James Madison that knows how to win. They've done it over the years. They've proven it. They play a good brand of football. They give you a lot of things that you got to deal with, both offensively and defensively. They're well coached, and they got really good players. So I think for us, improving on our mistakes from last week, which were penalties and turnovers, is going to be vital to success, and making sure we get that fixed up. And then we'll definitely have to play our best and be sound in what we're doing. And they've got a really good quarterback who can run and throw, with a good running back and some weapons on the outside, and they play a good brand of defense as well. So I just think this is it'll be a great test, and it'll be a fun Friday night, and we look forward to playing the game.
When you went back and looked at the tape, what did you get out of that game Saturday? What were you able? What data do you have? What do you feel like you learned, if anything?
I think it's disappointing to have that many penalties, but to have them in that type of a game is good for us. Quite a few of them are correctable and things we can fix. Probably over half of them were with new players that we had on the team that we just got to teach what is a hold and what's not, and certain things you got to be physical to a certain extent, and you've got to give in at certain points when you're getting beat or you're losing placement on a defender or someone you're blocking. So fixing the holding calls will be crucial. We had a face mask on special teams. We had something on the sideline. Those things can't happen as well. And then I think we just had three turnovers that we when you're in a good tight game, if you lose the turnover battle 3-0, you're probably not going to win the game. So I just think those things need to be addressed and worked on this week, and I think that's good. And the fact that a lot of guys got to play was good for the team. But now we're going to face some very competitive, really good football teams that have already won at a high level and beaten really good opponents throughout the last couple of years. So we'll have to be ready to go.
Jeff, what was your impression after seeing the rest of the league? Not necessarily in how they played, but just did that reinforce what you thought the ACC would be with the marquee wins for Florida State and last night Miami? Did it just reinforce it, or were you surprised by anything?
Well, I've always thought the ACC is very competitive football from top to bottom, and I still think the same thing. You saw Florida State back in the mix again, playing a really good brand of football, and they were well coached and disciplined and sound in what they did. And Miami came ready to play, and they've got a ton of talent and a really good quarterback, and they showed how good they are. So I think it's a lot of really good football teams, and once we get into conference play, you have to be ready to go every week, or you're just not going to win. We had that last year. Yes, we lost a lot of close games, not a lot, but we lost some close games. But we won some close games too that we easily could have lost against opponents in our league. So we're going to have to just improve every week, really be good at all those small things you talk about that get boring to continue to talk about. But you got to be sharp at it, and we've got to make plays and figure out ways to, this week, we'll face a much faster team on offense as far as not only in their talent level, but in the pace they go and the things they do. They'll make you defend the whole field. You'll have to honor the quarterback run, and all the things that he can do, the scramble lanes, and then, like I said, they'll go to no huddle pace that will make you get ready to go fast, and your communication has to be good.
What have you seen so far on film? You talk a little bit about that, but defensively, what have you seen with James Madison and kind of what they like to do?
Well, they got a new defensive coordinator, so you take a little bit of what they've done in the past and now what they've done through game one. I'm sure they didn't run everything. So you got to be ready for all that. I think they have good players. They've had a good scheme over the years. They'll be aggressive in their approach. So I think we're preparing for a lot, not knowing what we're going to see. But I think we go against a lot with our defense, all spring and summer. So hopefully we'll be ready to go.
Jeff, kind of a random philosophical question, but there were a couple guys during fall camp who talked about how they wanted to transfer, but then decided not to. And obviously, there were a couple guys who did enter the portal, but then withdrew. I guess how do you approach those conversations in terms of allowing that grace to come back, whereas some coaches say once you're in the portal, that's it?
Well, in the end, like I said, for us, this is today's college football. Is people want an opportunity to play and go somewhere and play. In general, even before that, I'm all for that. Like I want the young players that stay here and want to play and compete. I want to help them get on the field and achieve their goals. And um, if we don't think that can happen and they want to go somewhere else, we want to help them find a place to do that because they all work really hard and they're all really put their life's work into trying to achieve their goals on the football field. So we do have grace with certain guys that want to look elsewhere that maybe think they aren't getting treated fairly, but we still want to keep around. But and we've done that for years. Even before the portal, I've allowed. I don't want to broadcast it, but sometimes quarterbacks they want to play and they're unhappy, and we've sometimes allowed them to look around while they're still here, just to make sure that they're for sure what they want to do. Because I do want all of our quarterbacks to play and do well, and hopefully it's here. But if for some reason it's not going the way they want, we do want guys to have success. So it's a touchy slope, but we want to err on doing what's best for all all of our players, and I think our guys know that we want to. We have conversations. We're honest with them. We tell them where they stand, what they need to work on. How we envision them getting on the field and win. And obviously, those things can be determined by how they work and how they play. But it's important, in my opinion, now with recruits, you paint a picture for them, you explain it to them in detail, and then you work hard to get that done. And as that process goes on, if it's not what it's not going their way, we'll definitely help them look elsewhere if they want to.
Jeff, wanted to ask you about the health. Obviously, Rodney Johnson went down. Wanted to see how he's feeling. Nate Kariski, and I think he had a couple offensive linemen out as well in the opener.
I think Rodney will be back for sure. Nate, had an injury in fall camp. I'm not for sure if he'll be ready to go, which we would like to get him back. And then Trevante probably will not be back yet for this game as well. He was out the last game, our starting tackle on offense. Games like Eastern can go a lot of ways. You've seen probably teams come out flat. It didn't appear. It looked like your guys were well prepared, penalties notwithstanding. Came out on the attack. There wasn't a whole lot of issues getting plays in, getting called, breaking away when they needed to break away. How encouraging is that? Because those games don't have to go that way. I think you're correct. For a first game, I thought we did a good job overall. We came ready to play. We made enough plays on offense to score points. We did a good job on defense of getting set and lined up and making tackles and communicating. And that happened throughout the first half for the most part. In the second half, I know what the score is. We're not going to be quite as aggressive. We're going to play a bunch of guys. We're going to, do what I believe is right. So yes, I did. We did see that. Now, like in everything, it was, a good first game to get your feet wet. Now, we've got a lot of really good opponents coming up that are talented and that can win football games against anybody. James Madison beat 2 ACC teams last year, won very handily. So we've got tough football games. So now we've got to be at our best. For the people that got tired after one half, you better get in better shape because we've got a full 70 to 95 plays that you got to run on each side now, and you've got to be able to go the entire time and go at a high level. So that endurance and intensity has to pick up, and that'll continue throughout the rest of the year. And for sure, we've got to show up Friday and be ready to play for 60 minutes.
Jeff, a lot of the talk in the preseason, we talked about the newcomers on defense, but the two guys right in the middle, Rene made the very first tackle and had a good game, and then Jordan led you in tackles the other day. How big are having those two guys? They've played a lot of football, and they're both big and physical guys in the middle.
As we evaluate our team, without question, the guys that have been here, they show up, and you can count on them. And those are two young men that have been here. They understand what we're doing, the speed of the game, our package, how we practice, what we need to work on, and they definitely made a lot of plays. And But there were some newcomers that stood out as well. Clev Lubin on the outside and some others. Jabari Mack at corner. I mean, a lot of guys have stepped in and done a good job. But you know, creating that mix, I think we've got a good plan for it. Obviously, we'll be tested this week, but you know, um, I think we have some depth at certain positions, and throughout the year, at some point, they're all going to have to play, and you never know how much.
The, and it is a Friday night, but it's a night game. We haven't had a whole lot of night games lately, and the stadium just seems to have a different energy sometimes at night. How much are you looking forward to just kind of having that and players getting to be a part of that?
Well, I love playing night games. It doesn't bother me to play weekday games as well. I think this stadium has seen a lot of them, a lot of really good ones. I thought the crowd Saturday was great for a first game. They were ready for football and football season, which is a lot of fun to see. Our players respond when they're into it as well, and we're looking forward to a good crowd on Friday night. We'll need the fans to help us and be loud, and that definitely makes an advantage for our team, and we'll have to utilize every component of that we can.
Jeff, you had mentioned after the game that you thought in the second half that the backups and reserves did mostly a pretty good job. Now that you've had a chance to get your first dive into the film, is there anything that kind of stood out to you when going through that first watch, both good and bad?
I think the things I mentioned, I mean, we came ready to play. That was good. Some silly mistakes that didn't cost us in this game, but will cost us in close games, have to be fixed. And we normally have not been very penalized, but when you do, it's in a disadvantage. So we got to get that fixed. And turnovers are going to hurt you, especially we kind of gave them 7 points and then threw another interception that they were able to take down about the 10-yard line. So basically gave them another 7 points. So that can't happen against good teams, or you're not going to win. So I just think those small things that. Even though we did good things, you can't have against good opponents, or you're not going to win. So it's it's good to see those things come up, and hopefully we can get them fixed for this week.
Jeff, after this week, you've got a bye week. Obviously, can't do anything about it. But what's your opinion about having a bye week so early in the season? You like it? Don't like it? Can it be valuable?
Well, I don't like any bye weeks, actually. I think once we get started, we're ready to go. Can they be beneficial? Sure. Give you a little break, get guys healed, all those things, go out and recruit a little bit, fix some of the mistakes you've made. I mean, we'll take advantage of it. It used to be you'd have one bye week for some reason. Lately, it seems like we've had two every year, so I don't know if that is because of the calendar or what. But you know what? We got to push forward through this game and try to get a win, and really worry about playing our best football on Friday, and then from there we'll adjust and see how much rest we need, or what are all the things we need to work on. And definitely there are a few guys that are injured that we'd like to get back, and we'll continue to do that. So I just think it's a hodgepodge of a lot of things, and depends on where it falls in the year. For us, no, I don't like them bye weeks very much at all, but I don't like them this early. So I'd like to have a little bit later during the season.
Jeff, quick turnaround. Have 6 days as opposed to 7. How much different is the prep when you have one less day to prepare?
It's not a whole lot different. You just got to speed some things up, and the process happens a little faster. So the break, normally we give them a Monday as their day off. We'll be practicing today, so you just got to get ready to go faster. And I think as coaches, you got to kind of stay a little bit longer and make sure you're up to speed. And sometimes some of the stuff will carry over, and you hope that happens. But you got to have a couple new wrinkles in all three elements of your game, and hopefully we'll have those ready to go for Friday.
Obviously, Colin had the touchdown on the punt return, but he had another one that set up good field position. At the very end of the game, Kewan had the long kickoff return. How important are those yards? Obviously, you want to score every time, but if you can't, just the other part of the yards on return game and being aggressive.
Well, it's huge. If we can be good in the return game, it can really help our football team. And I think we have some weapons back there to do that. It'll be tested this week to see just how good we really are. It'll definitely make a difference. We had 5 or 6 penalties on special teams, which I don't know if we had that many all last year. So to get that fixed and make sure that doesn't happen will be important. But, yes, gaining an advantage on special teams, whether it's block kicks, whether it's changing the field position, whether it's scoring a touchdown, can definitely help you win games. And, those elements we've got to, whatever our strengths are and on special teams, we got to utilize that moving forward.
Jeff, how do you kind of balance seeing what you need to see from your offense and plays, and also kind of wanting to save and not necessarily put something on tape for later down, especially once ACC play starts?
Both those things happen without question, but being efficient, scoring points is the most important thing. But yes, I mean, we felt like we knew what we needed to do. That was going to be the plan as we proceed forward. All the bullets got to be ready to go, and we feel like we have weapons on offense. Making sure they get their touches is really as important as what you call. And I think we just have certain weapons that we need to make sure they touch the ball. And if you do that and let them do their thing, that can help you win. And that sometimes gets overlooked when you're trying to scheme up things and do this and that in order to win. But, certain players need to get their touches. Doesn't matter, who the coach is. We've got to be smart and make sure that happens. And that's what we kind of try to balance, is making sure what plays do we really think the ball will go a certain place, and if they're not touching it early, how can we kind of get them in the mix? But every game's different, and we tell them all the time there's one ball and there's multiple receivers and running backs, so normally only one can touch it other than the quarterback play. So you got to be patient, continue to do your job. You don't know when your number is going to be called. That's the game of football. That's why it's a team sport.